Welcome to a milestone 10th edition of Gridiron Glory. I'm Alexander Cook, and yesterday we had a huge day in college football with 8 top 25 teams falling, including number 2, number 3, and number 4 in a magical weekend for many, but a heartbreaking weekend for many more. We're going to discuss all the implications. We're going to discuss our college football playoff rankings predictions. We're going to talk Heismanology. We're going to talk about a lot in this episode. We're also going to, of course, preview and pick the NFL games this Sunday. So let's just start with what the college football playoff top 25 looked like at the beginning of the week. We had number 25, Old Arky, Arkansas, number 24, LSU, number 23, Washington State, number 22, Boise State, number 21, Western Michigan, number 20, USC, number 19, Nebraska, number 18, Florida State, number 17, UNC, number 16, West Virginia, number 15, Utah, number 14, Virginia Tech, number 13, Oklahoma State, number 12, Colorado, number 11, Oklahoma, number 10, Penn State, number 9, Auburn, number 8, Texas A&M, number 7, Wisconsin, number 6, Louisville, number 5, Ohio State, number 4, Washington, number 3, Michigan, number 2, Clemson, and of course, at number 1, what do you expect? Good old Alabama, the Tide at number 1. And we had a lot of surprises this weekend, but some things weren't that surprising. The week of college football action started on a Tuesday, November 8th, Election Day, historic win for Donald Trump, but also historic for Western Michigan, who went on the road taking on Kent State. They won 37-21, and they have their first 10-0 season in their history. Great program, Western Michigan, and now only Western Michigan and Alabama are undefeated. On Wednesday, we had some pretty much boring action, no ranked teams. We had Bowling Green and Akron. Bowling Green won 38-28, and then we had Toledo taking on Northern Illinois. Toledo wins 31-24. But then we had some ranked matchups on Thursday night. Number 15, Utah taking on Arizona State on the road. Utah got the job done, 49-26, your final score. Definitely a high-scoring game as the Utes looking impressive. And then we had number 17, North Carolina, UNC, on the road at Duke. Probably more UNC fans on the road at Duke than Duke fans, but Duke fans had reasons to celebrate as we got our first shakeup. It was a close, great matchup, fun game to watch as Duke wins 28-27. Because of that, I do predict UNC will fall out of the rankings. Not a good weekend for the ACC Coastal, and you'll find out why later with the Hokies of Virginia Tech getting tripped up on Saturday. And then we had a Friday matchup. It's Boston College on the road, Florida State. No big surprise. Number 18, Florida State rolls 45-7. We started at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. And no big surprise there when we had number 1 Alabama taking on Mississippi State. Bryant-Denny. Jalen Hurts was lights out. He was 28-37 on passing. He had 347 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 51-3 destruction of Mississippi State. And if you'll think back, Mississippi State upset Texas A&M, leaving them out of SEC championship game and probably playoff contention, and definitely now playoff contention. We'll talk about that in just a second. And Jalen Hurts also the lead in rushing. He had 11 carries for 100 yards and a TD. And let's move on to some more action during that time slot. We had number 10, Penn State, taking on Indiana. Close game, a lot of fun to watch, probably the best game during that time slot. It came down to the nitty-gritty, but Penn State got scoop and score when they had a 38-31 lead, and they put it away. Their final score for the Nittany Lions, 45-31. A lot of people predicting upset in that game, but Penn State getting the job done. And then Oklahoma had no trouble against the Baylor Bears, who are ridden in scandal. They did not have fun today. They lose for a third straight game as Oklahoma wins it 45-34. And a lot of fun there. And then we had West Virginia taking on Texas. Some people had upset alert there, but the West Virginia Mountaineers cruised past Texas. It was pretty close, but it was ultimately a good win for West Virginia, 24-20 your final. And Texas was really happy after they beat Baylor, but not exactly the best performance today against West Virginia. They came out of the gate, a lot of fuel. They won against Notre Dame, which at the time was a top 10 team, but has since fallen way out of the rankings. By the way, Notre Dame had they just obliterated Army. And we will be bringing you a preview of the Army-Navy game. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to go in-depth with that game a little bit later. So I think that's the only action that week. And now let's take a look at our next slot. We had Illinois taking on number 7 Wisconsin, and Wisconsin rolls. And it's just the Wisconsin defense was lights out, winning 48-3, and the offense was fine, but that Wisconsin defense so impressive all the time. Number 5 Ohio State taking on Maryland, and Ohio State just took care of business. 62-3 win over the Terrapins of Maryland on the road. J.T. Barrett, 18-27 for 253 yards, 2 TDs, and just a great day for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And we did have Pitt taking on Clemson, and we'll talk about that one a little bit later because that one was really a fun one. Then we had, during that time as well, Georgia Tech taking on Virginia Tech, and Georgia Tech got the job done 30-20, as Virginia Tech will probably fall out of the rankings. So Georgia Tech took care of business against Virginia Tech, and then Duke taking care of business against UNC, the ACC Coastal. Not a great place to be right now. Let's head into our night games now. Of course, we're going to talk about the big games a little bit later, but we had some interesting night games. Ole Miss taking on number 8 Texas A&M. A very close game as Ole Miss gets the upset 29-28. On a normal weekend, that would have been a storyline. Not so much this weekend, though. And also, let's keep looking here. We had also we had Texas Tech taking on Oklahoma State, and I predicted it'd be a shootout. I predicted Oklahoma State would escape, and Oklahoma State did escape. And then we had number 19 Nebraska taking on Minnesota. Minnesota, pretty impressive, in contention. They were in contention with Wisconsin for the top spot in the West, but Nebraska sealed the deal for Minnesota, and Wisconsin definitely tops for heading to the Big Ten championship game as Nebraska wins 24-17. Classic Big Ten action, but there's something more classic in the Big Ten if you can think about what we're missing. But then we had number 24 LSU taking on number 25 Arkansas. For the past 2 years, Arkansas had beaten LSU after LSU just comes off of a terrible loss against Alabama. They had another terrible one. It wasn't a blowout, but it was just heartbreaking, but LSU came out firing. Fournette, Darius Weiss, they looked good, to say the least, as LSU pulls away from Arkansas 38-10. And just taking a look at Geis, he had 21 carries for 252 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then let's move on to some Pac-12 action. California taking on number 23 Washington State, and Washington State rolled as just a fantastic day for the Cougs, and they're going to have quite a game against Washington, but it may not matter as much if Washington loses to USC. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then we also had another game that at that time is number 22 Boise State rolling against Hawaii 52-16, a very impressive win for Boise, as they'll certainly move up in the rankings after all the shifts we had. And then number 6 Louisville. Looking at the score, it looks like Louisville took care of business big time, winning 44-12, but not exactly. Wake Forest held Louisville during the first half, and Wake Forest scores 4 field goals, just not taking care, not utilizing their assets properly. And they were doing so well against Louisville during the first half, but they couldn't get anything but field goals, and that did them in. We also had number 12 Colorado taking on Arizona in Colorado. Good win. 49-24, your final for the Buffaloes, who have been really impressive this season. And a very good team in Colorado. And now let's take a look at our surprising games. Some of those in there were pretty surprising, but here's some really surprising ones. We'll start at the top of the rankings. We had number 9 Auburn taking on Georgia, and Georgia gets the win. They were 5-4 coming in. They got 13-7 win, and the Auburn offense was held all day long. Great job by the Bulldogs. They ruined Auburn's SEC championship game hopes, and with Alabama winning, they've secured a ticket to the SEC championship game. So they've won the SEC West. Just the Iron Bowl, not as big, but certainly a game to watch. The key in this game was certainly Auburn losing Cameron Petway, their dynamic running back, just not able to get anything going on offense. Good job on defense. In fact, the only touchdown for the Georgia Bulldogs was a pick 6, as Sean White was intercepted, and that interception was taken to the house. And just a not dominant win by Georgia, but Auburn not looking good. And let's keep moving here. More surprises. Number 4, Washington taking on number 20, USC. Not necessarily the biggest surprise, but USC held Washington, and Washington's defense came up big, but still, USC impressive, 26-13, your final. And we talked about Jake Browning as a Heisman contender. Really doesn't look like that. And look at Sam Darnold. He's the top passer in the game. 33 for 287 yards and 2 touchdowns. More surprises. Number 3, Michigan heading to Kinnick Stadium to play the Iowa Hawkeyes. 5-4 they were. And Iowa did a great job on defense. And the quarterback play in this game wasn't spectacular at all. In fact, the top quarterback in this game, in passing, of course, Wilton Speight of Michigan, who was 11-26 for 103 yards and an interception. Not good, as Iowa gets a 14-13 win with a last-second field goal. Take a walk back down memory lane when quite a while ago Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback. Michigan scored the only touchdown in that game, but a last-second walk-off field goal gets the Iowa Hawkeyes a win. That was in Kinnick Stadium, and I mean, it was quite the game, and that was the 1985 Michigan Wolverines taking on the Hawkeyes, and that was the last time number 2, 3, and 4 lost on the same weekend, as Rob Hotland kicked a 29-yarder to get the Hawkeyes the win, and the final score is 12-10. Number 2 versus number 1, huge game, and another walk-off game winner for the Iowa Hawkeyes as they stun number 3 Michigan in a blackout at Kinnick Stadium. You should see the pictures of all of the Iowa fans storming the field in disbelief, and Michigan falling. And how about a team that's had a lot of luck? Number 2, Clemson hosting Pittsburgh at Death Valley. And this was a high-scoring one, especially in the first half, as Clemson had a 42-40 lead. And guess how Pitt won? A walk-off field goal gives Pitt a 43-42 win against Clemson. Clemson's luck ran out, and something ironic, Pitt was 5-4 coming in. Now they're 6-4, and just phenomenal wins for Pitt, Iowa, USC, and Ole Miss against Texas A&M. Of course, Texas A&M not as good as they were before, of course, losing Trevor Knight to an injury, but still a good win. And then Georgia with a nice win. All these upsets. This was an upset Saturday, to say the least, and pretty darn impressive weekend in college football. Now, let's just talk about the implications of these games. Let's start with number 2, Clemson, who fell. Does Clemson still have a chance in the ACC to win the ACC championship? Perhaps get into the playoff? Do they have the chance? Of course they do. And however, they do have that chance, but let's take a look at the standings in the Atlantic Division. We have a tie with Louisville and Clemson right now. Louisville's got the edge because they have one more win, but still you're going to see Louisville not be able to get more wins overall than Clemson. Probably we're going to see Clemson getting to the ACC championship game because of the head-to-head win against Louisville. And then we're going to see, who are we going to see them play? UNC and Virginia Tech at the time are tied in contention for the ACC Coastal, both 5-2 in the conference. And Virginia Tech right now has the nod simply because Virginia Tech won the head-to-head against UNC. So it's possible to see Clemson. We're probably going to see a Clemson-Virginia Tech game in the ACC championship. And then, does Clemson have the gas to get to the college football playoff? But let's say that Clemson loses to Virginia Tech. Let's talk about Virginia Tech. Do they have a chance? No way. They've got overall right now. It's just not good. They've got 3 losses. That's not going to get them in, including to a Tennessee team at the time was big, but now really isn't. And because of that, you're going to see. Probably that wouldn't happen, but if Clemson won, then there is a possibility that Clemson could get him. But watch out for sneaky Louisville. Now, they didn't look that impressive against Wake Forest. They're off and off. It's like last week they were lights out, the week before not so much against Virginia, but they've just got to be lights out in these next few weeks, including when they play Kentucky, a decent team, not the best team, but a team that could beat Louisville if Louisville doesn't play well, but perhaps even Louisville will be in that college football playoff conversation. We'll talk about that in just a second. And Michigan still controls their own destiny despite the loss to Iowa. It was not impressive for the Wolverines, definitely a great win for the Iowa Hawkeyes, but Michigan controls their own destiny. If they win out, they're in. But if they lose to Ohio State, and right now Ohio State's playing lights out football, it looks like Ohio State would beat Michigan right now. If they do, then Penn State, because Penn State won the head-to-head against Ohio State, will get the nod to go to the Big Ten championship game. And in my opinion, really right now, face Wisconsin. I think out of those two teams, you have a good matchup with a great Penn State offense against a great Wisconsin defense. A very intriguing matchup there. Probably would give the nod to Wisconsin, but very close, intriguing matchup. There, Texas A&M falls for the third time, and they're out of playoff contention. Look, Alabama has won the SEC West. Alabama's I think it's going to win the SEC championship with ease, and they're going to go to the playoff. So Texas A&M doesn't have a chance. Auburn with 3 losses doesn't have a chance. And as we get down to the nitty-gritty over here, of course, Virginia Tech doesn't have a chance. UNC doesn't have a chance. And of course, Arkansas does not have a chance. So the SEC is secure in Alabama's favor, in my opinion, and Alabama's going to the playoff. But the Big Ten is really interesting right now. We're going to have to tune in to the game. But Ohio State's chances have been ruined despite looking lights out. Even if they beat Michigan, they're not going to go to the Big Ten championship game. Unless, of course, we could see Penn State lose. And let's take a look at their schedule and see if they're going to lose. Who do they play next? Rutgers and the Michigan State. Easy wins. Penn State, as long as Ohio State gets a win, is in prime position to go to the Big Ten championship game. Now let's take a look at our college football playoff top 10 as things stand right now, and things are going to get really interesting right now. We've got number 10, Penn State, number 9, Auburn, number 8, Texas A&M, number 7, Wisconsin, number 6, Louisville, number 5, Ohio State, number 4, Washington, number 3, Michigan, number 2, Clemson, number 1, Alabama. So how do things change? Well, Alabama's secure at number 1, and I mean secure. Clemson is going to fall, and we'll talk about that later. Michigan's going to fall. Washington's going to fall. Ohio State's going to move up, in my opinion, to number 2, followed by, I think, Wisconsin jumping Louisville, because Wisconsin looking a lot better than Louisville right now. Then you're going to see Louisville in there, and we'll talk about all this a little bit later, but let's start with trending upward, trending downward for the top 25. Number 25, Arkansas, trending downward out of the top 25. Number 24, LSU, trending upward. They're going to move up. Number 23, Washington State, trending upward. They're going to move up. Number 22, Boise State, trending upward, moving up. Number 21, Western Michigan, trending upward, moving up. Number 20, USC, trending upward big time. Number 19, Nebraska, trending upward. Number 18, Florida State, trending upward. Number 17, UNC, trending downward out of the top 25. Number 16, West Virginia, trending upward. Number 15, Utah, trending upward. Number 14, Virginia Tech, trending downward and perhaps out of the top 25. Number 13, Oklahoma State, trending up. I want to say neutral because they got a win, but it wasn't that impressive over Texas Tech. Number 12, Colorado, trending upward. Number 11, Oklahoma, trending upward. Number 10, Penn State, trending upward. Number 9, Auburn, trending downward. Number 8, Texas A&M, trending downward. Number 7, Wisconsin, trending upward. Number 6, Louisville, trending upward simply because of what's going around them, what's happening around them. Number 5, Ohio State, trending upward big time. Number 4, Washington, trending downward. Number 3, Michigan, trending downward. Number 2, Clemson trending downward. Number 1, Alabama. I would say trending upward big time, but they're number 1, so we can't do much. So here's my top 10 predictions. Number 1 is going to be Alabama. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Wisconsin. I think they've been more impressive than Louisville, especially Louisville not looking great against Wake Forest, especially in the first half. Number 4, that's where I put Louisville. Number 5, Penn State. Number 6, I'm looking, now things could really get interesting here. I'm looking at number 6 with the Clemson Tigers because they've had an impressive schedule. They've done some good things. They won against Florida State. I'm going to put Clemson at number 6. Number 7, I'm going to put Oklahoma. Number 8, I'm going to put Colorado. Number 9, I'm going to put Michigan. Number 10, Washington. Their strength of schedule just not high enough to afford a loss, so they close out the top 10. But we'll see if I'm right. We'll see. I'm probably going to be wrong, at least about a few things, but so that's just the way it is. Let's take a look at our Heisman race. And my prediction, I think that you've got to watch out for Jalen Hurts. So Lamar Jackson, still number 1. I think, he hasn't been the most impressive, but he's still number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go with Jonathan Allen. Very impressive against Mississippi State. Good job. Jabril Peppers wasn't able to do much against Iowa, and he just didn't have an effect. But I'm going to move him at number 3. I'm going to keep him at number 3 simply because, he didn't lose the game. Number 4, I'm going to put Deshaun Watson at number 2 because he did have an impressive performance. Excuse me, I got that wrong. Number 4, I'm going to put Deshaun Watson. Number 5, I'm going to put Donald Pumphrey. He's been impressive for San Diego State. So I think it's very close, but Lamar Jackson's way out in front, but then I'm looking at Deshaun Watson. I'm looking at Jabril Peppers, number 2, and then Jonathan Allen, number 3. I'm sorry, I keep messing this up, but then number 4, Deshaun Watson, number 5, Donald Pumphrey, impressive performance. Jake Brown just could not handle the big stage against USC, so I'm moving him out of there. So now we've talked about college football and talked a lot about college football. Let's talk NFL predictions. Now, I'm terrible at NFL predictions, okay? But I have not done well. But let's see if my fortunes can turn by getting some good NFL predictions. Let's take a look. And let's start with the Texans at the Jaguars on CBS, 1 p.m. Eastern. Now, when I say they're on CBS, not all of you can watch these games. It depends on where you're located, what your home team is. But some of you can watch these games. So certainly it depends, but some of you can watch these games. If you have DirecTV NFL Sunday ticket, then CBS doesn't really apply for you. You just go in there and pick the game you want to watch. So just to let you know. And, of course, we had the Ravens defeating the Browns 20-7, another Thursday night dud. Thursday night football has been really disappointing. It's not great. I understand the reason for it, but just put a decent game. It doesn't have to be the best, but a decent game. Just terrible Thursday night football. Then we have 1 p.m. Eastern, CBS, Texans at the Jaguars. I'm going to go with the Texans. They've really impressed me on defense. And, I think I think their offense does enough to get the job done. They've got a winning culture that Jacksonville does not. and that's why Texans get a nice win over in Jacksonville. Then at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have Broncos at the Saints, and Broncos impressive on defense, but the Saints really good on offense. And this is going to be one that could be extremely, and I mean extremely close. I think that, I think it's going to be close, but I think the Saints win a shootout. Not so much a shootout, but I think they're able to overcome the Broncos defense just like Oakland was able to do on Sunday Night Football last week. And then 1 p.m. Eastern, Fox, Rams at the Jets. And, the Rams have been impressive on defense, but both of these teams don't have winning cultures. The Jets more balanced. I'm going to give the nod to the Jets. Then 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox, we have Falcons at Eagles. And I'm going to go, the Falcons, I think they're a better team than the Eagles right now. Eagles looked really good from the start of the season, but they've really gone downhill. Give me the Falcons with a nice win in Philly. Then 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. I'm going to say 1 p.m. Eastern a lot. We have Chiefs at the Panthers. Panthers balanced, not the best team though, and Chiefs balanced. I want to go the Chiefs. They've definitely been more impressive. They have a winning culture. Give me the Chiefs, even though the game's in Charlotte, and of course Panthers slightly better on overall on stats. And then Bears, very good with the stats, very balanced, I should say. And then with everything else, not so. But with winning, they're 2-6. Tampa Bay 3-5. I want to go with the Bears. I wouldn't be surprised if I get this wrong, but I want to go Bears. I kind of like what they're doing so far. Yeah, the Vikings at the Redskins, and the Vikings are going to get you with the defense. Everyone knows that, but let's see. Let's take a look at the game. Of course, Redskins 4-3-1. Vikings 5-3, an intriguing matchup. Vikings have been falling down the tubes. I'm going to go with Redskins here. I don't think the Vikings can bounce back because of a lack of offense. I'll tell you someone who does have offense. How about the Tennessee Titans? Only 4-5 though. Green Bay 4-4. This is in Nashville. I'm going to go Titans, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox, and also Vikings at Redskins, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Bears at Buccaneers, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. And now for our late afternoon games, 4:05 p.m. Eastern on CBS. We're going to have the Dolphins at the Chargers. The Chargers are a good team. They just haven't won. But I'm going to go Chargers. I think they get the job done at Qualcomm today. And then 4:25 p.m. Eastern on Fox, we have the 49ers at the Cardinals. Cardinals really good with the stats, not so good with their record, but San Francisco 49ers 1-7. Cardinals 3-4-1. Give me the Cardinals at University of Phoenix Stadium. And then America's game of the week, Cowboys at Steelers. I think people thought this one might be a little bit different with the Steelers at 7-1, one loss coming from the Patriots, and then maybe the Cowboys 4-4. It's the opposite. Cowboys at 7-1, Pittsburgh Steelers at 4-4. This is in Pittsburgh, but the Cowboys have been red hot. I'm so impressed by what Dak Prescott has done. Forget Tony Romo. You've got a quarterback in Dak Prescott. Give me the Cowboys. Huge win right there. Then this one is what is a very intriguing matchup to look at. Seahawks, Patriots. Seahawks have brought the defense as usual. Patriots, though, at home in Foxborough, Gillette Stadium, and overall more balanced. I think it's a very close game, but I'm going to give the nod to the Patriots. Then Monday Night Football, we have the Bengals and the Giants. Bengals sitting at 3-4-1, and we have the Giants sitting at 5-3. Of course, the Seahawks Patriots game is 8:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. I'm sorry, I can just keep messing this up. But this game, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, Bengals Giants. Bengals, they're really good when it comes to passing and offense, but defense is not too good. In a close game, and I mean a close one, I'm going Bengals right there. And that's it for Gridiron Glory's milestone, episode 10. And we thank you all for your support for this great podcast. We know there's still not the viewership we would like, but we're still working on it. And we really thank you for tuning in. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It means the world to us. And also follow us on Twitter at @TheFootballKids. That's @TheFootballKids. And also check out our blog at gridironglorysportsblog.weebly.com. From the studio, I'm Alexander Cook, and enjoy the rest of your NFL Sunday and Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday for our next podcast recapping the NFL action. Have a great weekend and have a great week.